Right, guys, so they say there's an issue with loneliness these days, and I'm going to tell you why this should not be the case. Do you know what I mean? I think the reason people become lonely is because they aim for friends or partners who are too far ahead of them. And there is like a social ladder. If you're a type of guy who like me, who works at McDonald's, who has a YouTube channel, who's getting very little success. Well, you're quite low down on that ladder. You're not as low as someone who's homeless or anything like that, but you're quite low down. So somebody who's people who are professional athletes, or people who are you know millionaire businessmen, they're probably not going to want to be friends with me. That's fine. People who have maybe people who have hundreds of thousands of subscribers on YouTube, they're probably not going to want to be friends with me, because they'll probably look at my life as being a little bit depressing, and almost like feel like I'm bringing them down a bit or something. And that's life. So you need to find friends that are at your own standard or even below that. Like, there's plenty of people complain that, oh, people don't make time for each other these days. Well, what about the elderly people out there who are who don't work jobs, who are sort of what's the word, crippled, who can't really move, can't even go out for a walk, can't even walk a mile away from their house, can't take the bus somewhere. Those people who are at home, who are lonely, those people, they'd be happy to have you. There's volunteer sites where you can volunteer to meet up with elderly people and have a chat with them. I'm sure they'd be happy to have you for an hour or two. Because if you want to be friends with someone who's of high value, who is out doing shit, they're going to be busy doing their thing. If they're a big YouTuber, let's say, with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, or even over 1 million subscribers, they're gonna have so many people trying to contact them that it's very unlikely that you'll be able to speak with them. So yeah, just find people at your own level or below that, if you know what I mean. And look, you'll be doing far more far more good for society, keeping, say, elderly, lonely people company, than you would if you were to just lick up to the celebrities. Now, I used to live in place. I mentioned this in my previous video. I think I made this yesterday, or was it the day before? No, I think it was like 2 days ago, maybe 3 days ago. So I was talking about how the people in my area in Carrickmines are a bit snobby. That strange old man in my area, I mentioned him, how he used to raise his nose at me when he walked past me on the streets. How he tried to give me the idea that, oh, I'm not talking to you, I'm better than you, and stuff like that. But he was quite lonely. I always got the idea he lived alone in a house with his greyhound Phoebe, if you know what I mean. And the thing is, when I shaved my head in 2017, he kind of acted differently towards me. He started smiling at me a lot, and he went from one extreme to the other. He went from being, oh, I'm too good to talk to you, to being like a beta male simp. Do you know what I mean? Like he was smiling at me whenever I walked past him on the street, and stuff like that. So I got the idea that this guy, through his desperation, he was probably lonely. He wants people to come into him and talk to him. He wants friends and stuff. I think he has mental issues. I did see him walking into like the clinic in Cabinteely once, and of course running outside, running onto the street and staring at me like he saw a ghost that one time. Obviously, that makes me think he has some mental issues. But this guy, he's lonely for a reason. He wants people coming to him who are higher value than he is, and unfortunately, that's just not going to happen. Like when I lived there, I was like an outcast. Because I was a runner. People hate runners. In that area, I also was unemployed for a while. For the last 10 months I lived there, I did work at the local McDonald's. But even then, people still look down at you for working at McDonald's in an area like that. So I had no friends. I was an outcast. If he wanted to come talk to me, I'd be friendly. If he wanted to invite me into his house to talk to him for an hour a day, I wouldn't have had a problem with that. But instead, he had to act a snob. All right. So yeah, it's just lower your standards and look for someone who's. I think that's the main reason people are lonely these days, is because everyone thinks they're better than what they really are. Everyone's trying to tree climb, get the highest value friends they can get, when maybe they should be looking for someone a little bit lower. Because the standards and expectations are very unrealistic these days. You know, you get all these women who say, "Oh, I want a partner who's you know, worth millions, who's doing something extremely interesting." You know, like back in the olden days, you know, working in a factory or a shop and making a just livable income, that was acceptable. Now it's not. Everyone wants higher value, you know, and especially in the more affluent areas. Okay, that's why I left these affluent areas, because they're just, I grew up in them, and I never had any friends. People's values were too high. So I moved to a more working class area. I lived in Shankill for a while. Now I live in East Wall, which is very working class. And I'm thinking of leaving Dublin. Actually, I'm thinking of maybe moving to like a smaller town. You know, um, so yeah, like loneliness should not be a thing. If you lower your expectations, if you manage your expectations, there's plenty. There are homeless people. Homeless people. Sure, they're outcasts. Why not buy them a sandwich or something, and maybe just sit down and have a talk with them, even just for half an hour. If you're so lonely, but people are, oh no, I can't be doing that. They're too below me. Yeah, well, that's why you're lonely. So don't complain that you're lonely. You know what I mean?